Hi,
Hi,
nice to
how
meet
are
you.
you? Yes, nice to meet you as well.
My name is Arun. I'm the HR manager here at Ian Martin Group. I take it you're Arjun Bedi?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and you're here for the recruiter position.
That's also correct.
Great, great. How was your drive in?
It wasn't too bad, the morning traffic's always a bit of a pain, but it was alright today.
Okay, and having the sun out definitely makes it a lot easier to drive out during the day, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wait, did you park here at the building? Because the parking here is free.
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. All right, so what we're going to do here is an interview. So what I'll do is I'll kind of explain to you what the structure of our interview will be. Um, First, I'll describe to you what the position is that you're applying for, and then we'll go through your education and some of your experience. Then I have some questions to ask you if that's all right. After that, I'll tell you a little bit about the company and why someone would want to work for Ian Martin Group. Then, if you have any questions at the end, you can ask me then, and then we'll wrap up our interview.
Right on.
Sounds good? Okay, great. So let's start with your education. What's the highest level of education that you've received?
I graduated from Wilfrid Laurier University
Mm-hmm.
with a major in honors philosophy.
Honors philosophy. So that's a 4-year program?
Yes.
Okay. And it's an undergraduate degree, right?
That's correct, yes. I graduated in 2013.
And what courses did you take?
So yeah, obviously the majority of my courses were philosophy oriented, but early on I took a lot of business and economics courses.
Why business and economics?
Well, my dad owns his own business, and before me, my brother went to university for business. So I guess you could say I've always had a great interest in university. It kind of runs in the family, so I thought I would pursue that line of education. But for personal reasons, I switched over in my last 2 years.
Okay. And were you involved in any school organizations?
Yes, I was a member of the philosophy club, and I was in a lot of intramural sports.
The philosophy club, eh?
Yeah.
So did you guys? I guess probably had a lot of discussions and arguments and conversations.
Yeah, we had a couple of great conversations over some beers, once or twice.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So how was the whole university experience for you?
I found it to be a very enriching experience. Like I said, I was part of a lot of intramural teams where like being competitive is very important. I feel like I brought that same attitude into my classes, and it's been very crucial for me to maintain that attitude in the workforce. And I have a lot of fun being competitive, so I enjoyed that aspect of university.
Good, glad to hear that. So on to some of your work experience now. Why don't you tell me about the last position? What did you do last?
Right, so I was employed as a recruiting and marketing strategist for Altus HR.
Okay. What were some of your responsibilities?
Yeah, so the majority of my responsibility was screening, interviewing, and assessing potential candidates for positions that I might put them into.
Just like what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, a little bit. I had a specialization in technical IT kind of stuff.
Okay. Were you provided training on that?
Not specifically the IT part. My training consisted mostly in just the general screening process, how to successfully service and develop and maintain accounts, researching companies on my own time, stuff like that.
How long was that training?
It lasted for about 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay. All right. So, did your duties change at all since when you started and then afterwards, near the end of your tenure?
I mean, the job stayed pretty much level over my 1 year there. I was only there for a year, but of course, there's a fluid evolution to every job, so you have to get better at maintaining relationships with higher level employees within corporations. At first, I was more involved only at interviewing potential candidates to put into positions, and later on, I had to focus more on how to conduct formal business meetings with vice presidents or HR managers, stuff, the people in those positions, so I could actually put my candidates into positions.
Oh, I see. So then you were generating business.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, was that what was the pay structure like? Was it a salary or
there was a salary base and also a commission component.
Oh, so okay, so there was commission as well.
Yes.
Okay. And who did you report to?
I reported to the sorry, the title, the exact title is escaping me at the moment. It is
The director?
the provincial director of.
I see. Okay. Okay. Excellent. And why did you decide to leave?
Well, you know, I felt I'm a really hard worker, and I feel that not to say that I was undervalued at the company or anything like that, but I wanted more for myself, and I felt that the atmosphere of Altus, you know, it didn't suit my needs.
Okay. I see. All right. So, how do you think that your manager would describe you?
I would say that my manager would describe me as a very dedicated person. I was always there on time. You're ready to work. You know, I never missed deadlines or anything like that. It's a little bit of a cliche answer, but it's the honest truth.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that she would describe me as always trying to learn new things. Like I said, I was focused on the IT aspect of the department, not through any formal training. It's just because I took it upon myself to realize that there's a trend in IT professionals.
Oh, I see.
So you know, I brought that attitude and that knowledge into the field, and I felt that I kind of became an informal IT specialist within Altus.
Oh, I see. So, I guess you were filling IT positions then?
Yes, that's correct. I did so based on my own interest, and I think that it reflected well on me because my manager thought it was a great idea.
Great, excellent. So, could you identify any areas that maybe you would need to improve in?
Well, I mean, you know, everybody should always be trying to constantly improve themselves. I believe that from the bottom of my heart, and of course, everybody's knowledge is limited. So I think that like I said, in a field like IT, where I would like to become more specialized, it's always growing. So you have to keep on top of the trends. You have to know what's coming. You have to try and forecast what's going to be hot in the future. So that's one major thing that I should stay on top of, you know.
Right, and I think that's very important as well, actually, to keep up to date with the latest technology. So that's excellent. I'm glad that you think that.
Yeah.
What do you think makes you a good recruiter?
Well, I've always been very strong at maintaining relationships, which is vital in the field. I'm a people person. I thrive off of talking and you know, just generally getting to know people.
Mm-hmm. Have you always been that kind of a person?
Well, you know, I was a little solipsistic in my youth, but as I went to university, I started to open up, meet new people, and I found that I really have a passion for it.
I see. Okay. Do you think that there's anything that you do that kind of differentiates you from other recruiters?
Yeah, like I said, with I know I keep coming back to this, but I believe it's very important that I focus on IT. Like I want to really bring that piece of knowledge into the recruiting field because it is the future. Technology is the future, and IT professionals are, you know, in high demand nowadays. And I feel that not all recruiters have the knowledge that I have in this field.
Okay, great answer. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your strongest professional relationships?
Right. So.
So this means maybe candidates that you've known for a while. You know, how did you meet them, and how is that relationship?
Yeah. I understand. So while I was working at Altus, obviously you go through dozens of people, the candidates a day, you know, interviewing them and that. And when you meet that many people on a daily basis, I'm not sure, but for me, I kind of get a gut feeling about people who I think, you know, I would have a good relationship with. And when I identify that, you know, it's not a lot of work after that. Relationships just develop organically. When you gel with somebody, so to speak, you know, you find similar interests. The relationship just kind of develops itself.
I see. And so how do you maintain it?
Oh well, obviously there's dozens of social networks nowadays where you can connect with people. I personally like to call people because it gives a bit more of an intimate touch.
Okay.
We go for I go for lunches with a lot of my relationships because the company pays for business meetings. So.
Mm-hmm. And how often do you talk to?
Well, my strongest relationships, I'd say 2 to 3 times a week.
Oh, okay, great, excellent. And what about their personal lives? Like you mentioned, you take a part into the interests and stuff.
Right. Yeah. So obviously that kind of stuff comes up. A lot of these people have families and kids, and it obviously helps to remember their interests and what their goals are for their family, because a lot of people are family oriented people, so you have to make sure that you keep up to date with what's happening with their family.
Okay, yeah, great. Now tell me a little bit about if you were to expand your professional network, what are some of the avenues you would take to do that?
Well, I'd say that obviously with social networking, organizations like LinkedIn make it easier to meet people you would otherwise overlook. Cold calling has always been a way to go, but it's losing traction nowadays because people are wary of strangers. I find the best way to go is through referrals. I maintain a strong social network, and when people understand that I'm an honest and trustworthy person, they have no problem referring their friends or colleagues towards me, and it's been a great source of growth for me as well, because that's the majority of how
you meet people.
Yeah.
How often do you do that?
Well, the referrals come on their own. If I had to put a number on it, I'd say I'd get 5 a month, maybe once a week. Somebody new comes to my door, and through a referral.
Okay, great. And so you mentioned that you use LinkedIn. Is there any other, online?
Well, yeah, sure. You use Facebook and Twitter and all those things, but they're not as business oriented or formal.
Mm-hmm.
So they're more for personal relationships, but they can still add to my business social network.
All right. So out of all of those, methods, what would you say is the most effective and the least effective?
Definitely referrals. Like I said, when you have trustworthy people, people that know you and like you and understand you, they'll send clients towards you, and those are obviously the strongest. I'd say cold calling is the weakest because, like I said, people are wary of strangers nowadays.
Okay. Okay. Now, what your communication style? How often do you find yourself changing or adapting your communication style, and when do you do that?
I think my communication style is it's very fluid. It can be adapted to a lot of things. It's always important to continually increase what you know and what you can talk about. So I find myself, subscribing to a lot of newsletters and websites that focus on business, things like that. There's a lot of tech-savvy websites I like to keep on top of just for my personal interest, and of course, my interest in philosophy has never died. Might be a little irrelevant, but I still keep up to date on those journals as well.
Right.
Just always making sure that you can talk about more is better, I believe.
Okay, and so you think that that's important then?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Do you have a mentor? That's someone that kind of teaches you how to adapt your communication style?
Sure. A lot of my colleagues, we get together and just talking to other professionals in the field, people who focus on different branches of human resources or whatever. You get to learn a lot from them because they're focusing on different things, and just talking to people like that really expands your knowledge base. Also, I'd say my brother, he went before me. He's doing a lot of the same stuff that I'm doing now, and it's always a valuable resource to have somebody who's a couple of years ahead of you in the game.
Okay. Tell me about a time when you had to. Well, let me rephrase that question. Tell me how you expand your knowledge about positions and job titles. To know the market and what kind of jobs are available. How do you do that?
Right. So at work, there's obviously a lot of databases and resources we can use to look at salaries and job titles and descriptions. When I'm interviewing potential candidates, I find what interests them. I apologize, and then you go and you look for jobs that match that kind of title. So the majority of what I know about job openings comes from work alone. But you can obviously take a personal interest in that as well, which is what I like to do. Like I said, through the newsletters and websites.
So my next question is, tell me about a time when you worked with an applicant who was being dishonest about their qualifications.
Yeah, absolutely. There was, pardon me. There was one instance where an applicant handed in his resume, which stated that he had 2 to 3 years experience with Microsoft Excel. When I was checking his references, I was notified that he had come in contact with Microsoft Excel, but not nearly on the basis that he had stated.
Why do you think he was being dishonest?
I don't think it was for any malicious or deceptive purposes or anything like that. I think he just really wanted a job, and having experience with Microsoft Office is important in a lot of office workplaces.
Okay. So what was your reaction?
I gave him a call, and I let him know there was a discrepancy in what he had told me and what his references were telling me. And he kind of backtracked a little bit, and he said, no, it all checks out because, I do a lot of practice on Microsoft Excel and Office at home after work. And I told him that may well be the case, but, it doesn't check out in a professional environment. You need professional references if you're going to state something on your resume. And he told me he understood, and from there we kind of moved forward. And he seemed like a trustworthy person to me, and I feel like I came across the same way to him. And I ended up telling him that the best way that this relationship will work is that if you tell me, exactly what you can and can't do, and then from there I can work to put you in the best position to help you meet your goals.
Would you work with this candidate again?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think that there was, like I said, anything malicious or deceptive about what he did. He just really wanted a job.
Yeah.
And he was, a strong relationship to maintain because I ended up placing him. So.
Okay. Do you think trust is important in this kind of professional kind of relationship?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's the cornerstone of
why
of the business, because if you don't trust the person that you're working with, you can't meet your goals. You have to be able to trust the person you're standing next to.
Okay. Describe to me what factors you consider when you evaluate an applicant for a position.
Right. Yeah. So I think that the key things that you have to identify are strengths and weaknesses, and general interests of the person who you're interviewing. Because with those three things, you can make the right fit for that kind of a person.
Mm-hmm. Would you be able to tell me a situation where you matched a candidate to the right position?
There was one case. I remember somebody came in with all their information, and they handed it in to me. And at the time, as I was going through my my information, I couldn't find anything that had the right fit for him.
Mm-hmm.
But then I remembered a couple weeks back there was a placing for a job that matched his top 3 skills. And I went back and looked at that file, and I called the manager.
Okay.
And luckily for me, the position was still available, and I ended up working out.
Okay, so you matched that right candidate to the right opportunity, and you remembered which one it was. Eh?
Yeah.
When you're interviewing, what would you say about your, level of biasness?
I think that everybody has a little bit of bias, but it's important when you're interviewing somebody to maintain a neutral attitude. Make sure that you don't jump to conclusions before you finished interviewing them, and I feel like I've really grown in that aspect. I've learned how to do that well.
Okay, great. Can you tell me about a time when you had to convince an applicant to take an offer?
Yes, absolutely. There was one case I had where the applicant was offered two different jobs. One was from me, one was from an agent from a different recruiting firm.
Okay, what kind of offers were they?
My offer consisted of a job that was closer to his house with a reasonable salary. My competitor had an offer that was further away with not a huge increase, but generally something that was to be considered, an increase in salary. And what it eventually came down to was that I believe that I had a strong relationship with the applicant because I remembered that he was a very family-oriented man, and being close to home is it's very important to him. So I really pushed that point, and he came to make the right decision because he's really happy now.
Yeah. So was he satisfied?
Yeah, absolutely. I still see him a couple times a month, and he seems really happy where he is.
Okay, that's great. Glad to hear that. What would you be able to describe to me a situation where you had to negotiate a salary?
Yes, absolutely. There was this one case I had when an older gentleman came in. He was an IT professional for many, many years, 20 or 30 years, I believe. And he was looking for a job that had a salary of around, $80,000 to $90,000, which is reasonable because he's been in the field for so long. I ended up finding a position that was paying around $70,000 a year.
Okay, so that position was paying $70,000.
Yeah. The difference was that it didn't.
How much did he want? I'm sorry, I didn't.
80 to 90.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and so the position that I found, it didn't match his experience exactly. You see, his experience was a little outdated. In IT fields, everything moves forward really, really fast, and this was like a new upstart company. They had new technologies, and the point that I tried to push to get my applicant to accept was, that his experience was dying. It was making him a dying commodity in the IT field. I convinced him that if he took this job, it would renew his experience. It would give him something new and fresh to offer employers and managers. And he saw a reason, and he took the job because he realized.
Okay, what were those technologies?
You know what? It was a long time ago. I don't remember the exact names of.
That's all right, no problem. Okay, so actually, I'm sorry. I wanted to ask you one question about the previous question that I asked you, and I apologize because I did look it over. But were you ever involved in? So you mentioned that you filled a position by matching the right candidate. When you had to convince, you had to be very convincing. But did you ever have to sell resumes to managers? Did you ever have to do anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely, I did. Anytime somebody gives a resume to me, I have to move it forward and present it to my manager.
Oh, okay.
And I have to make sure that that my manager sees my way of things, like that we're on the same page when it comes to whether somebody's a right fit. And luckily, I use a very reasonable process where somebody's strengths and interests match with the job position. Their top three skills match with whatever the job is looking for. I don't have to do a lot of selling because that speaks for itself to the manager.
Right. Okay. All right. Thanks. So this is my last question here. Can you tell me about the first time that you generated a lead for your account manager?
Yes. There was this. It was early on in my job experience. I was doing a reference check for one of my applicants. And
so you were doing a reference check for a candidate that you were putting forward for a role?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
And I was talking to his manager, who he's working for currently, and I went through all the checks and balances, the stuff that you're supposed to do, by the book. I was early on, and at the end of the interview, I got to talking with the manager a little bit, and I asked him what kind of processes they use when they're hiring new applicants, and he said, very similar to what you guys do. It's you're a little bit more thorough
Okay.
than what we use. And I said, oh well, that's interesting. Like, would you ever consider hiring through us? And as the conversation progressed, I got him on the phone with
was it a useful lead?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got him on the phone with my account manager. About a month later, we placed somebody within his.
So did it generate business?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. So you placed somebody there.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Glad to hear that. All right. So that was my last question. I just want to tell you a little bit about our company. Ian Martin Group is a recruiting and staffing firm, and we're pretty well established in the industry. Actually, we were named one of the best workplaces in Canada by the Great Places to Work Institute, and 93% of our employees say that it's a great place to work. We think that says a lot, and as a certified benefit corporation, the company meets the comprehensive standards that measure its impact on employees, suppliers, and community, and the environment as well. And we're the first recruitment or staffing firm to get the certification in Canada. In Canada, we have about 50 offices with over 1,000 employees. We're continuously growing and adding to our workforce, generating more business every day. Thinking about international expansion very soon. So our company is on the rise, and we're looking for people to join. So if you're the type of person that wants to align yourself with a company that's on its way to the top, I think that's an excellent place to be. Other than that, do you have any questions for me?
No, I think you answered all the questions that I had.
Okay, great. Well, Arjun, it was very nice to meet you, and I have some other interviews lined up for the rest of the week, but I will get back to you with a decision to move on to the next interview by Friday. You'll hear from me personally.
Sounds great.
Okay,
Thank
have
you.
a good day.